into a conversation today. I'll introduce myself. They've done a bit of introduction. But yes, I'm the one who keeps sending all the messages on WhatsApp. If you do receive my messages, some of you say, Sarah, well, I'm female and I'm a lady. So nice to meet everybody. For those who have not met me before, my name is Akelachi Kejeh, and I'm the founder of Early Flight Academy. Early Flight Academy is an organization, I'd like to say, with the vision of raising Africa's next generation of entrepreneurs, change makers, and innovators, as well as leaders. So we want to be part of the success story of tomorrow's leaders, tomorrow's entrepreneurs, and the young people who will shape Africa to what it will become tomorrow or the future. So how do we do that? We do that by creating out of class learning experiences for young people between the ages of 6 to 16. So life skills that they would naturally or ordinarily not learn in the traditional classroom, we take that to them outside the learning space and make it fun and very practical. So what kind of trainings are we talking about? We're talking entrepreneurship training, entrepreneurship education. We're talking financial literacy. I'm sure you'd agree with me that it is very, very important for young people to start understanding about money and how it's made and how it goes, so that they grow into that financial responsibility. We also have tech training, so tech skills for young people who want to, we organize that as well. So that's in a nutshell, but today it's not about Early Flight Academy. For Early Flight Academy is also the organizer of Parents Connect, and Parents Connect is a bi-monthly webinar series for parents to talk about issues that concern parenting and raising the 21st generation young child to what you want to responsible adults. So that's basically what Early Flight Academy and Parents Connect is all about. I am the founder of Early Flight Academy, and with a team of vibrant young people, we run our different programs for Early Flight Academy. So welcome, welcome. And maybe before we go on, just a few ground rules. The chat box is very active, and I love it when people use the chat box so that it's an interactive session. I'm not here to teach you. No, I'm not here to teach you, not at all. I'm here to have a conversation with you. So, and I'm not the smartest person on this webinar series as regards to the topic. So when I share my knowledge, it's the expectation is that we get questions, we share opinions, we share our mindset, and it's a learning experience for every single person, myself included. So I'm really looking forward to the conversation. If you are not speaking, please keep your mic muted. And just for information purposes, this episode, as every other episode, is recorded. So if you want to turn on your video, just be aware that this episode is being recorded, or our webinar series are usually being recorded. That said, I am handling this. I'm going to be honest, I did not prepare any slides for this. I'm just being thrown into the water and I have to swim or sink, and that's life. In fact, that is entrepreneurship. You're being thrown into a circumstance, a situation, and you have to swim or sink. So who is ready for today's episode? If you're ready, just type ready, ready, ready in the chat box. Just say, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. Please, I'll be waiting. It's a very vibrant session. I just want every single person. Okay. Favor says she's ready. Thank you, Favor. Jules, yes. Kwamena, let's do this. Let's do this. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Mixing. Thank you. Okay, so without any further ado, I'm going to jump right in. Our topic today says entrepreneurship for kids and teens, for young people, basically. So I'm talking between the ages of 6 to 16, 17, 18. which is usually the age bracket that I usually deal with. So I've been teaching young people, I've been teaching young people entrepreneurship since 2017. That's about how many years now? That's about, okay, it's going to be 4 years this year or five, thereabouts. So I've been in the practice of teaching young people between the age of 6 and 16 about entrepreneurship. One question that I get all the time, one question that I get all the time is, why would young people, I mean, why would you want a young person, a child, to be a businessman? Like, why do you want a child to be a businessman? That has the question. I think that's the most common question I get. Why do you want a child to be? Let children be children. Why do you want it to be a businessman? Okay, so I'm going to start with a story. Okay, I'm going to start with a story. In my very first entrepreneurship class, which held in 2017 August, I had this very vibrant and interesting child, Chiamaka. She was 11 at the time. Chiamaka was 11 at the time. And there's something that I usually do in each of the classes. Like I said, it's very practical, and we try to make it very hands-on for children so they do not get bored, and the lessons are inherently imbibed during the practical sessions. So one of the projects was they were supposed to be divided into teams. They were divided into teams, two teams, and each team was tasked with they were given a task to come up with an idea and execute the business idea. Come up with a business idea within yourselves and execute the business idea. Time frame, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Come up with a business idea and execute it. So you're not just coming to tell us, oh, my business idea is that we want to create this fast food, this restaurant or something. When you finish telling us that this is what you want to do, you will execute it and give a statement at the end of the period. They were taken through every single step. So Chiamaka was asked, so what idea do you think, what do you think you can do? What can we do? Chiamaka said she is not good in anything. She cannot do anything. This is an 11-year-old. And no, all she knows how to do is to play. Oh, she doesn't know how to do anything. She does not know how to do anything. I said, okay, interesting. So they continue having conversations and lesson after lesson after lesson. Finally, her team came up with the idea to sell African salad. Her team came up with the idea to sell African salad. I was blown away at the end of the day by the packaging because they did everything themselves. They branded it, they packaged it. I wish I could find one of the pictures and maybe show it to us, but they did it all. And guess who was the chef? Who was the maker of the African salad, Chiamaka? It was interesting to see that trajectory from saying, I have nothing to offer, to being the brain, or will I say the hands behind a business. How, from conversation, I started asking her, okay, so what do you do at home? What don't you do? And she said, oh, I help my mom to make African salad. I was even surprised that an 11-year-old knew how to do that because truth be told, I don't think I fully know how to make African salad. Fully, I mean, she made it very well. She had been doing this over and over with her mom, but she did not see that skill as something that was valuable. She did not see it as anything of value. But at the end of the entrepreneurship training, she knew, and every other person in the class knew that, wow, every single person has something to offer, right? Every single person has something to offer. So which brings me to maybe the start of my conversation. I should have to time myself. So Soki, please put me on check when it's almost time so that I know when to end, so we can then jump into the conversations, having the conversation. So questions, comments, and opinions. So it brings me to my conversation. I think number one question is, are entrepreneurs made or are they born? What do you think? Are entrepreneurs made or are they born? Do you give birth to somebody and say, oh, this one is going to be an entrepreneur? Do you know, like, this one is going to be an entrepreneur? Or do they make entrepreneurs as life goes on? Please, what do you think, made or born? Just type. If you think that entrepreneurs are made, type made. If you think they are born, type born. I'm waiting. Made or born? Made, okay? Someone says made, 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 made. Everybody saying both. Someone says both. Okay. Made and born. Okay. Made. I'm getting a lot of maids, but there's a few born. Okay. Made. Good, good, good. I think I have a lot of made. But somebody says born, then made. Interesting. God knows. God knows says entrepreneurs are born and then made. That's an interesting take. Okay. So one of my mentors was the one who brought this particular question to mind. He asked me, do you think entrepreneurs are born or made? And I have to actually sit down to think about it, because my first reaction was to say born, right? Because there are certain skills that you need as an entrepreneur who I'm sure we all know. A lot of people think that entrepreneurs are extroverts. Entrepreneurs come across as extroverts, and so people think that, oh, once you're born an extrovert, then you can particularly be an entrepreneur. But I think they are born, and through hard work and consistency, they can be made. Hence, both. Okay, nice contributions. I'm really enjoying today's session. I am serious. I'm really, really enjoying today's session. So, before I answer the question, or before I delve more into that topic, let's take a let's backtrack a bit. What exactly is entrepreneurship? What exactly is entrepreneurship? So at Early Flight Academy, we like to believe that entrepreneurship is not just about starting a business. Entrepreneurship is not just about starting companies. Entrepreneurship is not just about making products, but entrepreneurship is a mindset, it is a skill set, and it is a way of thinking. Entrepreneurship is a mindset, it is a skill set, and it is a way of thinking. I hope I've not lost you. Okay, I'm going to explain why. So, when you're applying for a job, or you are trying to tidy up and arrange your resume. So you put skills, communication, leadership, teamwork, team bonding, you put all of that. And then you also say, proficiency in particular tools. So maybe Microsoft Office Suite, maybe GIS, ArcGIS. You put all those proficiencies. That makes you, or you think that makes you qualified for the role you are applying for. So let's bring that to, but remember, you were not born with all those tools, all those skills, especially the ones you learned. So like proficiency in certain tools, leadership, maybe you might have attended some leadership courses, team communication, you might have had some communication training, but all that comes together to form who you are at the time of applying for a particular application, fellowship, vacancy, whatever. The same thing applies to entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is just a particular skill set and a way of thinking. Skill set plus thinking equal to entrepreneurial individual. Let's put it like that. The skill set plus a particular way of thinking is equal to an entrepreneurial skills individual. So that inherently means that anybody can be entrepreneurial. in their own way. You don't necessarily have to be an extrovert. Your child does not necessarily have to be an extrovert to be an entrepreneur. What are these skill sets? So, for example, you have communication skills, you have creativity, passion, for mindset, for the way of thinking, a can-do mentality. All these things can be learned through various activities that you can imbibe in a child, right? So entrepreneurs are made. Anybody, any single person who is interested in entrepreneurship can be an entrepreneur. So we've explored that. But then I'll now go to the second question, which is why entrepreneurship? Why is this necessary? Why do we have to take children through something that you think is hard, through an entrepreneurial process? Why do you want to do that? Oh, I don't want my child to be a businessman. So he doesn't need entrepreneurship training. I don't need my child to open company and start anything. No, we have a job secured for him or her for her tomorrow. So you don't need. I'm here to tell you that entrepreneurship has really, really nothing to do with starting a company or any, like I said, it's a particular skill set. I'm going to tell you something. Even every single day we sell ourselves, and preparing young children for that environment, knowing that every single day they have to sell themselves. So whether it's you starting a company or you selling yourself for a position, you will still need to have those particular skill sets and the way of thinking for you to approach any problem, for you to approach any challenge. Take, for example, one of the mindsets of entrepreneurship in our context is problem solving. If a child develops and enhances their problem solving skills, is that only for business? Please type that in the chat box. Is problem solving as a skill or as a mindset, does that only help in business? Just so I know that we're still together. Does that only help in business? No. Okay. So that thinking is not at all, exactly, not at all. Entrepreneurship, problem solving as a skill helps in every facet of life. So we look at the story I told at the beginning, Chiamaka. One of the mindsets we teach, one of the skills is creativity. Creativity. If you see what these young children made out of nothing and branded the product, the African salad, with everything complete, that's creativity, right? That's creativity. Look at me. Let me take today's situation as an example. We have a guest, fulfilled, settled, booked, everything. And at the last minute, what happens? Unfortunately, life happens and she's not available. Quick thinking, problem solving, I have to solve that. That's problem solving as a skill and as a mindset. So this is to tell you that entrepreneurship is not just about starting a company. It's about building the total entrepreneurship education, rather. It's about building the total child. So next question or next thing I'll quickly go on to is entrepreneurship, some benefits of entrepreneurship for young children. Entrepreneurship helps young children to develop their communication skills. It helps them to build their confidence, to develop their confidence. It helps them to contribute and have value for money and other people, have value really for society, have value for money, have value for people, have value for things. It grows, it shows them how to have value, because when you sit through a process and make something, you will definitely start to have value for for things in life generally. Um, okay, 7 minutes more. Right. I'm going to quickly run through every other thing I want to talk about. Okay, so yes, it is definitely beneficial. I've explained how beneficial it is for children to engage in businesses. Another question, how can I help my entrepreneurial child start a business? then again, like I said, that every child, everybody can be an entrepreneur. Every child can go through entrepreneurship education. But you know then that there are certain children who show interest in business already from a young age, and they keep disturbing you. Oh, mom, I want to do this. Oh, dad, I want to do. You see them selling certain things or just putting things in certain places, and you keep looking at this one. It looks like this one wants to be. Don't discourage them, please. Don't discourage that child. Help them. Ask them what do they want to do. So for example, my brother my youngest brother, who happens to be 12 years old now, 12 years old, always wants to try to add value to something. So he used to draw when he was younger, and when he would draw, I said, okay, so what are you going to do with this? Oh, I'm going to sell it. What are you going to do with this? Oh, I'm going to sell it. When you see things like that, he has added value in a particular thing. He drew something and he knew or he knows that somebody is going to appreciate this. It might be his classmate, maybe one of their trending cartoon characters. He goes to sketch it and then he goes to sell it in class. When you notice things like that, that's just an example. When you notice things like that, don't discourage your child. Okay, don't discourage your child. Don't think that, oh, it's going to distract them from their schoolwork. So can I shock you that helping children actually go through an entrepreneurial process actually helps their analytical thinking, their critical thinking? Yes, it does. A particular parent, so one of my trainings, one of the children who finished from the training, her mother came like some weeks later, sent me a message and was saying that she has noticed that her child has improved in mathematics. We don't teach mathematics at any of our training, any of our classes for young people. But she has noticed that her child has gotten better at mathematics. Why? Critical thinking. It has opened up maybe her mind in one way or the other. I still don't know how that happened, but she just said she noticed that her child has gotten better at mathematics. So maybe going through all the calculating profit loss, because we do all that, how to calculate your profit, how are you going to get your pricing. Maybe going through all of that made it more fun, and she decided. So you see, the benefits are numerous, the direct benefits and the indirect benefits. Speaking about indirect benefits, one of the things I'll never forget about, I taught the kids I taught them how to also create a business plan, a mini business plan, I mean, for their level, but breaking it down into little blocks and all of that. And another parent, and then they were given the task to go and create a business plan based on their idea. And one of the parents during graduation said, thank you for that business plan. I used the format to create a business plan for a business that I was working on. And I was just like, wow. You mean so indirect benefits like that, and the ripple keeps going on and on. So I think that I'm just going to stop here and quickly we're going to start having the conversation. Um, chat is open. If you have any questions, Soki, I think I'm going to end here so that I don't overshoot my time. It's already 8:30. It's already past 6 minutes past what I was supposed to stop at. So please, let's have a conversation. The floor is open. If you have any questions, I'm here. Where is the moderator?
Hello, sorry, my network was just trying to mess with me. All right, so thank you so much, Akelachi, for such an insightful sharing. We encourage questions, all manner of questions as regards our topic tonight. You can, okay, if you have a question, let's have you in the chat section, or you can just send me a message via chat and then I can unmute you so that you can shoot. All right, so the floor is open for questions. Please, questions.
Or you could also just use the icon to raise your hand, and we could
Yeah,
take
yeah,
your
you can just
questions.
raise
You
your
can
hands,
also do
exactly.
that. So while we're waiting for questions, contributions, opinions, comments, I'm also going to talk about an aspect of including um, entrepreneurship in the school curriculum. So one of the things that we advocate for here at Early Flight Academy is how entrepreneurship can be included in almost every school's curriculum, because we find that this is very, very useful. Like I said, not just for starting businesses, not just for creating companies, although some of our young people have gone ahead to create companies, they've gone ahead to start businesses. Some of them who are waiting to get into university, some of the older kids are still on. Even some of the younger kids still send me messages from time to time about their work that's going on. So one of the things we advocate is schools should try to get in the entrepreneurship curriculum into, I can see a hand raised. Okay, the moderator.
Yeah, I think Emeka has a question.
Okay, look, he can go ahead.
All right, Emeka, you can unmute and then ask your question.
Okay, thanks, Akelachi. Unfortunately, what I have to say wasn't really a question, but basically just to add on to a bit of what you have already spoken. Am I clear? Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you very well.
Yes.
Okay, so that's really, so I was really just going to add on to what Akelachi has actually spoken about. And thank you, Akelachi, for your comments on entrepreneurship as it concerns young people. But the reality for me is going to be one or two things in addition. And that's the fact that in a country like Nigeria, where the median age is really around 19 or 20, and that basically tells you the kind of population of young people and the energy that we basically can have in terms of entrepreneurship, there is a lot of opportunity that needs to still be driven and to be taken advantage of. And so every parent really needs to understand that entrepreneurship has become a major pathway to creating employment. So in an economy where 33.3% of the people are unemployed, and for youth unemployment, it's in the region of even maybe 50 to 60% young people that are unemployed. So we need to begin to think through that this is an important pathway to creating employment for ourselves and also for our young people. And that requires a bit of preparation. So, Kelechi, you talked about mindset, and one of the things I need to talk about in addition to that in terms of entrepreneurship is motivation and passion. Motivation and passion. So one of the things that we need to begin to build in our young people is to understand the place of positive motivation in building entrepreneurship and that spirit of entrepreneurship. And we need to imbibe this. So we need to begin as parents to start early to understand what are the things that young people like. Where are their interests? What kinds of passions do they have? What kinds of areas do they have creative advantage? And begin to teach them early from home and from school. Like you talked about curriculum, and that's important. But we need to begin to hone the skills from home. So the question is, so you talked about your brother that has some creative skills in arts and the creative arts. The question of what can we do? How can we begin to show that child or that young person what the opportunities are? How can we begin to help young people understand that social media can be a strong tool for creating, for honing their entrepreneurship skills? So these are the kinds of things that we need to begin to take on, making sure that they have the right motivation and that us, parents, also help motivate, create that motivation for them and build those motivational skills. We need to begin to build the passion for entrepreneurship very early in life. So it's not too early to make people understand that, yes, you can actually make money, you can have multiple income streams, you can begin to understand what are the challenges in your environment. Young people took advantage of COVID-19, built softwares that created money that they were not even really thinking about, but because they were trying to respond to a situation, not for the money initially, but creating value. So the question is, how do we begin to teach our young people to understand that it's not only about going to TikTok, it's not only about, I hope I got it right. It's not only about using TikTok or using Facebook or using Instagram positively. How do we begin to understand those opportunities that exist? So these are the things that we need to begin to not necessarily in a formal way, but it has to be both formal sometimes and informal. So there are all kinds of tools that are available for making young people. And I think once young people in the age of between that 16, 17, even 15 and younger begin to have the right skill set, like you talked about, the right mindset, then there is a lot that we can unleash. And so, for goodness sake, as parents, we need to begin to teach our children and understand what their passions are, teach them the skills, help them understand their own skills that they have and hone them. I thought I should just add this going forward. Hope it's helpful.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that very passionate, in fact, very, very passionate contribution, Emeka. Yes, you spoke about passion and creativity. I was going to, at some point, maybe break down the entrepreneurial mindset and the entrepreneurial skills that are available, that we talk about during our trainings. But thank you so much. Yes, parents need to start thinking about the reality. Entrepreneurship might be the way to go, and it's never, never too early. Please, if you're not speaking, just kindly mute your mic. Please, just kindly mute your mic. Thank you. So we might have to start thinking about how to build these skill sets and mindsets for young people. So before we take more contributions, I'm just going to quickly run us through the entrepreneurial mindset and the skill sets. So for skill sets, the entrepreneurial skills, we have creativity. We have, being creative means to be bold and imaginative and not limiting your thinking to what's already done. Going through the entrepreneurial process also gives them teamwork skills. It helps their public speaking. It helps them to generate ideas. Ideas are what work in this era. It helps them to generate ideas. It also helps them to analyze different opportunities that present themselves. So you have so many ideas, not all are worth pursuing. That entrepreneurial process helps young children to be able to analyze different opportunities that comes their way. It gives them market research ability skills. It sounds like big English, but by the time they go through the whole process of starting something and taking it to market, you see that they've already gone through trying to understand, so who am I selling this to? That's market research. Forget the big technical language there. It helps them in design thinking. So I think I was going to show you a picture. I'm still going to do that of the young people, how they designed that, like designed the logo in quotes and also put that up there. It also helps them in prototyping. So that simply means creating a design and creating a physical sample of that design. It helps them in business model and it also helps them in pitching. Pitching is very important. I'm sure a lot of us have heard this question. If you find yourself with Dangote in an elevator, what are you going to tell him? You pitch yourself. If you're not prepared, pitching helps you to always be prepared. So these things help them. And then for the mindset, we talk about curiosity, the ability to always ask why, a growth mindset, being able to grow, courage, persistence, optimism, embracing failure. Very important. When a child has gone through a process and he sees it didn't work, some children were not exposed to failing at all when they were younger. And when they start experiencing failures in adulthood, they just quit. They really do just quit because they are confused, like, what is failure? It's a new phenomenon to them. But going through an entrepreneurial process helps you to know that failure is part of life. Like I tell my kids, the people I teach, I tell them failure, FAIL, is simply first attempt in learning. Failure is so it helps them to see failure as a learning opportunity. It also helps them to problem solving, like I said, opportunity seeking, helps them to be resourceful, helps them to adapt to any situation where they find themselves, and also helps them to have empathy. So those are the entrepreneurial mindsets. I think we'll just quickly go on to other questions.
Yeah. We need to take more questions.
Yes. So
okay, so Jules is asking, please, how will kid entrepreneurs market their products? We know, frankly, that it can be distracting considering their various school calendars and knowing the society we live in. It's risky and not a welcome idea to expose them at this early age. So I think Jules is trying to know, how can kids, market their ideas already?
Fantastic. So thank you, Jules, for that question. I hope, wow, okay, the country we find ourselves. Just hang on while I turn on my thing. So Jules is asking, how do we help kids to market their product, knowing that, of course, the world is a dangerous place and you can't just let them maybe go outside. The opportunities that adults would have in marketing, kids would not necessarily have that opportunity. Fantastic. Jules, Emeka said something about social media. So if I, speaking practically, if I were to help my kid brother or my niece or any child around me to sell their product, first of all, outside selling within, first of all, help them sell within their immediate environment. What does that mean? Family, friends. If you go to church, church people, teachers, your school and classmates. So within that safe space, they have to start marketing around that safe space first of all. Moving on, when you see that, oh, this product is so viable, demand is now coming from other places, you can then help them market it on social media. So truth be told, kid entrepreneurs need the full support of their parents, because we know the world we're in today. They need the full support of their parents. So you as a mother or as a father, as a parent generally, with that support, you would help them when they've come up with the idea, created the product, they've done the marketing around where they can. Then it's your job, it's your responsibility in terms of support to push it to the outer market. So then sell to your own network and it starts going like that. You can then put it on your own social media if you are social media savvy, or you create a separate entity of social media for that child, but handled by you, managed by mom, managed by dad. Help them to take it out there. So start with your immediate environment, the safe space you know, this uncles, family, external family, moving on, and then you can help them. So like I said, it is deeply on the prerogative of the parents, supporting the supportive parents, helping them to market it, because they will go to school. What if somebody wants to buy? You might even help them deliver. Do you understand? So parents really have to be deep into for your kid entrepreneurs to have success. I hope I answered that question. Thank you.
Okay, I believe Jules is satisfied. Emmanuel Tovey says, how do we correct the wrong impressions created by schools, even in some higher institutions? Once you mention entrepreneurship, you hear soap making. All right. So
I
I
didn't
think
get that. Sorry.
uh, Emmanuel Tovey is saying, how do we correct the wrong impressions created by schools?
Okay.
Even in some higher institutions, once you mention entrepreneurship, everybody thinks soap making, shampoo making, and all of those skill acquisition stuff. So how do we change the mindset, I guess? How do we reorientate people?
Okay, Emmanuel Tovey, first of all, there's nothing wrong with soap making, and there's nothing wrong with shampoo making. So, maybe let me put it this way: there's really nothing wrong with soap making or making commodities, something as simple as that. There's really nothing wrong with that. So maybe he's talking about entrepreneurship education as offered in tertiary institutions. I'm just trying to imagine that maybe that's what he's talking about. So the I think I tend to allow young people start from whatever level that they are exposed to. So if you think soap making is what you want to start with, start from there. The important thing, what is important is imbibing and developing the entrepreneurial skill set and the mindset. Any entrepreneurship process you go through, no matter the product, no matter the service you're rendering, will develop this skill set and mindset in young people. And they can usually go on or pivot from that. They're not doomed or they're not bound to end with soap making or shampoo making. When they start going through the process, they then realize that business is actually about solving a problem. It's about being innovative. And they can keep coming up with ideas. So the whole process is a learning process. It's not one-time hit it process. If I start regaling you through the different businesses I've done in my life, you really don't want to know. You really don't want to know, my dear. So allow them. Important thing is, are they developing that mindset and skill set of an entrepreneur? Are they learning that failure is a learning process? Are they learning how to generate ideas? Are they learning how to be persistent in something? Are they learning how to be optimistic? Are they learning how to solve problems? Is their curiosity being retained? So that, for me, if the answer is yes, they can keep going in that process. And before you know it, they'll get into the right thing. So that's my answer for Tovi. I hope.
Okay, so Tori, I guess the stuff is in the mindset, not really in what you're doing with your hands.
Exactly.
Okay, so Mina says, in an era where young people want instant gratification, how do we encourage/build resilience in those who desire to fully go into business?
Emeka said it
There's that
all.
question.
Emeka said it all.
Okay.
Start early. Start early. My mom works with the Ministry of Youth Development in Rivers State. And there's something she keeps saying that, oh, she wishes she could work with the Ministry of Education. So maybe the primary schools board on all of that. Why? Because by the time the individuals are already formed and they're bringing them to the Ministry of Youth where they handle, it's as if the damage has already been done. It's like, in her words, you are bringing an old tree for me to bend it. No, give me a seedling. When it's still a seedling, you can manipulate it. For those of us who did some agriculture, some crop science, when you're trying to merge to doing hybrid crossing for plants, you do it when they are young. You do that when they are young, not when they're already formed, like with barks and everything. No. So start young. This generation really want everything fast cars, fast food, fast social media. Some can't even scrolling. Everything is instant, on demand, how they want it, when they want it, now. So imbibing this mindset and skill set early on will help them, grow into this building resilience. Like I said, one of the entrepreneurial mindsets is resilience and grit. So starting them early, you have started them on that journey. Trust me. That's why I'm so passionate about addressing young people 6 to 16. See what I mean? I'm not going to the universities. They already have the entrepreneurship education. They how be it, however it's being delivered. But I'm interested in starting young. These ones might not start businesses instantly. They might not start generating millions of dollars. They may not. But that learning with continuous repetition and all of that, it's in there. And they just keep growing and growing and growing. The difference between one person and the other person is the knowledge they have. Simple.
All right.
That's
Shooks, I'll come to you just shortly after I read this
Okay,
last question.
can we take someone who wants to ask a question before we go on to reading more questions, please? Please.
Okay, fine. Chooks, can you unmute yourself and shoot?
Yeah, I just want to elaborate on what you just said and what your mom was trying to explain to you. It's about teaching these kids what values are and what priorities should be. Because it's based on the values that has been embedded in them that they can walk through the journey of entrepreneurship. Without the value, because like the question that was asked, how do we keep it up? Those who want fast money, who want everything quick. So it depends on what values do you hold. because you don't compromise. It's so difficult to compromise value. But if you prioritize money over value, or in a way, as in put priority, as to say, money is how you're working for, the needs changes over time. And your action, the way you react or act towards proposing your entrepreneurship skill before your clients or customers or potential customers to be would change over time. So it is based on that value that the integrity that sustains most of this, everything that has been said today, lies. So that thing you're talking about, mommy talking about bringing a seed, is imbibing that culture, making them understand, taking it as in taking entrepreneurship from the right perspective and making it a culture that can never be compromised, even when the prices of things change, or even when needs begin to rise, they will still hold on to those values. That's what I want to add.
All right. Thanks for your contribution. Finally, I think this is the last question. How do we get our children in secondary school who are science and tech inclined to be interested in subjects like business studies, economics, bookkeeping, accounts, government, which are critical in shaping their minds and preparing them to be future entrepreneurs? This question is from Kwamena.
Okay. Before I go on to that question, I'd like to say thank you to Chooks for that contribution and that comment, because you just elaborated what I was trying to say and explained it succinctly. Thank you very much. Moving on to Kwamena's question, how do we get our children in secondary school who are science inclined to then be interested in other things like bookkeeping and economics and business studies? Great. So, again, this is from my own perspective, all right, from my experience of taking young people through the entrepreneurial process for about 4 years now. There's no child that has come through our process, be you science, I'm talking about secondary school kids now, be you science or arts, that was not interested in getting into the process. So we might not name it accounting, or we might not name it economics, or we might not name it business studies. But inside that process, we know that they are learning certain things inside that process, right? So I'll give you an example. Maybe let me go practical. I'll give you an example. When we take them, they've come with their idea. They have done their research, market research. This is whether science or art now. Remember, they all come to one class and all of that. They've done their research. They're ready to go to the market. But before that, okay, we say, okay, now what price are we going to put this product at, or this app, or this service, this book you've written, whatever, this drawing, this website you built, what price are you going to put it at? Then they go in hands-on again to say, okay, we show them how to calculate how pricing comes about. So my expenditure, my expected profits, all that. This thing I'm talking about right now is about, I call it business studies, accounting, bookkeeping, economics. I don't know which one to call it, but basically we're going through the arithmetic of business. And every child is interested because it's hands-on. So I said that to say this: find out what is the learning, what's the learning pattern for your child, what interests them. Children will always love practical. Always. That is why we try to make our trainings very practical. Children always love practical. You must not necessarily come and bring an economics textbook and tell them to start reading this or something. No, give it to them as it relates to what they are working on. So for a tech kid now, a kid who is in science, or a kid who has formulated something, let's say somebody who has built an app and he wants children to come on the app, or his peers or adults, whoever. So is it free? What is the mindset behind making it free? What is the value? What do you expect to get in return? How do you expect to keep this sustainable? These are the conversations you keep having. Give them these questions, let them research, let them think about it. It's in the process of doing that they then imbibe these skills, these things you're talking about, like this bookkeeping, accounting, economics. Make it very practical and very relevant to what very practical, very relevant to what we're talking about. Do you understand? Who is the young chap on our webinar? So make it very, very practical and relevant to what they are talking about. Tech kids, no wahala, no problem. Get them interested. How do you want to sell this thing? Ask them questions like, how do you want to sell this thing? How much do you think you can make from this? What kind of profit do you think? So entrepreneurs don't need to know every single thing. They don't need to be experts in every single thing. They just need to know a bit of everything to make an idea successful. I'll say that again. Entrepreneurs don't need to be experts in every single thing. They just need to know a little bit of everything to make their ideas successful. And I hope I've answered that question, Kwamena.
All right. Thank you so much for throwing light to Kwamena's question. I personally would suggest that a lot of parents these days, because of the economic situation, they tend to have other side hustles along with their daily 9 to 5. I think actively involving their kids in the daily running of such side hustles is a very, very good way to involve them practically. The truth is, the subjects we learn in school are just for the purpose of theory. They just tell us how to draw the tables and calculate the numbers. By the time they actually give you the numbers in reality, you may find yourself lost. So I think a very practical way to involve kids is to get them involved in your daily businesses, as you run it day to day, and then they can also pick up and learn.
Fantastic, fantastic. That is very, very true. So, in fact, that's a very good point. Thank you for raising that. So, if you as a parent are entrepreneurial, what I mean is you have a business or you have a side hustle, like he said, something that is entrepreneurial in nature, you can also get your child involved in some of the processes. Maybe you're a stay-at-home mom and you make some certain product, or you bake. You're a caterer. Get your kids involved in this in the process later on, and for sure they'll begin to see value and begin to actually imbibe these skills and mindsets along the way. Thank you very much, Suki. That is absolutely true.
All right. So I guess with this we come to the end of the show. Someone is actually asking if we are going to have the recording. Yeah, I think it will be uploaded on our YouTube channel, and then we'll also provide links across all the platforms we have. So definitely we'll have links to the replay of this webinar.
Yes,
All right.
there would be replays. It's recorded, so it'll be the replay will be sent actually. Yes. And just one final word, maybe I hand over to the moderator so I don't interrupt him, so he can close properly. I'd just like to thank every single person who came on today's episode. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you, Emeka. Thank you, Godfrey. Thank you, Chooks. Thank you, Favor. Thank you, Dr. Folu. Thank you, Gilbert. Thank you, Grace, Jules, Kwamena, Lady Lois, Michael, Nkechi, Quinette, Somina, Tonye, Linda. Thank you so much. Really, really do appreciate you jumping on this call. If you found value in this, please send me a message, maybe at the end of this on WhatsApp. If you found value, if you have suggestions on how to make this better, please don't forget to share. You're welcome, Kwamena. And also please share to people in your network about what's happening here on Parents Connect. We're here every other Thursday, 2 Thursdays in a month, talking about issues as relating parenting and raising of young people in the 21st century. Those days, they used to say it takes a village to raise a child. But in this digital era, most of us don't have villages or are fenced in our own cocoon, in our own houses. We can still take the digital village to raise the child, and that's what we're trying to do here. So thank you very much, everybody. Over to you, moderator.
Okay. Thank you once again, everybody, for making out time to join us on the show. I believe we've taken a lot of value home and begin to implement them. It's not just about coming to the show, it's also about trying to implement all the things we learn. So once again, thank you so much. We'll be back online live the Thursday after this coming one. Definitely the links will be out on all our platforms. We hope to see you too. You should also grab somebody along, bring somebody along. All this value here, we should also share it with other people. All right. Having said that, you can excuse yourself, leave the meeting, and stay well. Thank you. Good night.